Everyone, good morning. A warm welcome to our esteemed guest and to dear learners. I'm Dr. Shivangi Singh from RadarOpus by BJNRX, and we will here today to discuss a very interesting topic, a case of anxiety neurosis with Dr. Aditya Chatterjee. So we have Dr. Aditya Chatterjee live with us right now. Thank you, Dr. Aditya Chatterjee, for being here. Let me give you a small introduction so our learner may know who you are. So, everyone, Dr. Aditya Chatterjee is a leading homeopathic physician, passed out in 2015, have a versatile working and teaching experience as visiting faculty at multiple private colleges for anatomy. Have worked at YCM Hospital, which is a government hospital, have traveled all over the country to learn from many stalwarts of homeopathy in the country. Have been the last person student to be taught by Dr. Kishore Ranka in the subject of repertory. Have learned at HHF for more than 2 years, now a part of GMT group in particulars and an active participant on multiple social media platforms and group in mind technique of homeopathy. He integrates metaphysical anatomy into his practice. So that's a little about you, Dr. Aditya. Thank you, Dr. Aditya, for being here with us. And before I hand over to you, Dr. Aditya, let me quickly explain to our learners how this interface works. On the right-hand panel of your screen, you have a short chat box. You may type your question or whatever message you have for Dr. Aditya right there and press next to it, send it to us. I request all of you to please send your question only after the session is over. That might disturb him. So without wasting any more time, let's give it over to you, Dr. Aditya. Let's start learning. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Would hardly take around half an hour. The case begins thus. A student of 16 years studying in 11 science at a private college was brought to the OPD. He has seen counseling psychologists, psychiatrists, was on medications. Basically, I have not written over here, but this patient, he was also given propranolol because he was having palpitations. His blood pressure used to rise. Now imagine 16 years old child, and he is having high blood pressure. He was given tranquilizers and sedatives also, and he has already failed two exams back to back and might fail the year. It is a situation where after 10th standard, in the 11th standard, he is not able to perform. He has been a topper in student until his schooling from Marathi medium. Now Marathi medium because this case is from Maharashtra. I practice in Maharashtra near Pune in at a hill station called Lonavala. So now he's finding it difficult to cope with the portions which are in English. Out of his compulsion to perform and the expectations of the parents, he had been trying very hard to perform for the first 3 months. After he failed in the first unit test, he has started with the symptoms. He has anxiety about his next exam. He feels anxious to face his teacher in the lab practicals. He keeps imagining himself making mistakes and keeps sweating. His palms and soles have also sweating problem now. Now he wants to quit his studies and wants to start working at some local hotel or drive a rickshaw or something like that. He wants to join some odd jobs. The parents are more in distress than the child now. So basically, what you have to understand at this point is that this child, he was always a performer. And his parents have always had a very high expectation out of him. ये बच्चा जो है, ये बच्चे को हमेशा से ही बहुत सारे एक्सपेक्टेशंस फेस करने पड़े हैं और उन एक्सपेक्टेशंस पर उन अपेक्षाओं पर वो खरा उतरा है. उसने हमेशा से ही अपने फैमिली में बाकी बच्चों के कंपैरिजन में, कजन्स के कंपैरिजन में बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म किया है. हालांकि वो वर्नाक्युलर मीडियम, जो मराठी मीडियम है यहाँ पर स्टेट में, उस मीडियम से पढ़ा है. और अभी उसे जब इंग्लिश मीडियम में डाला गया 11th स्टैंडर्ड के लिए, तो वो अभी परफॉर्म नहीं कर पा रहा है. उसे समझने में दिक्कतें आती हैं. और इसीलिए फिर उसका परफॉर्मेंस खराब हो रहा है। तो इसलिए ये बच्चा काफी डरा हुआ है, अंदर से डरा हुआ है। हाँ, और अभी चाहता है कि वो पढ़ाई छोड़ दे। ऐसा उसने अपने पेरेंट्स को हाँ बहुत मतलब बहुत मुश्किलों से बताया है। ओपीडी में जब ये पेशेंट मेरे सामने आया था, तो पहले पेरेंट्स के साथ में बैठा था, फिर मैंने पेरेंट्स को बाहर बैठा दिया, और फिर मैंने जब बच्चे से बात की तो काफी मतलब बच्चा हिला हुआ था, कांप रहा था। So this kind of I solved this case by RadarOpus, and I am into mind technique as Madam has given my introduction. So sir, please speak in English. Okay, Madam, I have already narrated the case in English. I again narrated it in Hindi. This child is of course into anxiety neurosis. Now this problem I solved with RadarOpus with urgentum nitricum medicine. The case started with a 200 dose. After the 200 dose, his physical symptoms were very good. But still he was feeling some anxiety. So I shifted him to 1 dose, and then the child was settled. It was the case just settled. It was initially I was actually expecting that 30 dose will be sufficient, but the 30 dose was not sufficient enough, so I had to immediately change to 200. So now today's discussion basically is upon this remedy, urgentum nitricum. Before I move ahead with the explanation of urgentum nitricum or the journey of the case, I would like you to understand something of the metaphysics. Okay, now metaphysics is where you connect the remedy and the disease to the mind or to the mental status of the patient. It is just impossible for a patient to suffer with a certain disease without a certain predisposing cause. The person needs to have a certain background because of which the disease will come over. If the child has got emotional problems, only then he will start suffering with respiratory diseases. Respiratory diseases are directly proportional to your emotional problems. Just imagine a child who is having a very good household, a very good care from the parents, who is guided for everything. He's protected for everything. He has been restricted from going out into the mud because he might suffer with allergy. He is restricted from playing in water because he might get a cold. He's restricted from watching TV for long hours because his eyes might suffer. Such kind of a child who is under a lot of care yet domination will be a calcaria child. Why? Because the IPR, the interpersonal relationship, the parents are not allowing the child to develop. They are not allowing him to get strengthened. So in this love, extra love which the child is getting, he will start feeling suffocated and will end up with respiratory problems, often which are coming to the point of pediatric asthma. Madam, I will ask you to change the slides a little later. I am creating the background for the listeners who are wanting to understand
Okay.
metaphysics.
Okay, Dr. Aditya.
So this is basically metaphysics. Every disease has a predisposing cause. So if a child, they see a contrast. If there is an orphan child who is living in a certain household, you will see that the orphan basically doesn't get as much attention as is expected. So this orphan child who is not having anybody to listen to him. There is nobody who will listen to him. There is nobody who will talk to him. There is nobody who will ask him what he wants or what he doesn't want. In such a condition, this child will try to get the attention of his IPR, or whoever is there, whoever is there at home, or whoever is there in the orphanage. He will try to get the attention from people, and in such a situation he will start suffering with acute bronchitis. He'll start coughing like a dog to get that attention. So again, respiratory problem, because there is emotional deprivation in this case. In the former case, he was having a lot of care. In the next case, there is a deprivation. So like this, whichever body part gets affected, you will already know the metaphysical part, the mind part, which is related to the disease. So if you just imagine the skin, okay, in a certain case, if you have a patient suffering with a skin disease, so very often in such cases you will find that there is a person in power above our patient who is angry with the patient. What do I mean? The skin is the protector. The skin protects you. If you don't have your skin, you will get infections very easily. In a similar manner, in real life, the protector who protects you, when is angry with you and you know it, you will start suffering with skin diseases. Because the real life protector is angry with you. In a similar manner, your protector, which is the skin, will get angry with you. If a patient comes with lumbar spondylosis, okay, so in that case, what is the lumbar region? Lumbar region is that region which will allow you to stand straight in physical body. In a similar manner, if you have got financial issues, finance allows you to stand straight in society. So if you have got financial problems, you will suffer with lumbar problems mostly. It's not 100% thing, but 99% of the times you will see that this particular equation sets right. So in this case of anxiety neurosis, the person, the child with whom we are dealing with, he is having an IPR, he is having an interpersonal relationship with his parents such that they want him to perform. There is a high expectation from him. When they expect big things from him, he is going to try and achieve them. So that is the glitter. That is the glitter of silver. But the time he is not able to perform, he will start dwindling down. Okay, so now we will move ahead with the understanding of urgentum nitricum as a crisis manager. Basically, urgentum nitricum is a crisis manager. He tries to manage the crisis which comes in his life. So our patient also is trying to manage the crisis which has come in his life. So we start with the introduction. Okay, in Sankaran's textbook, we have seen urgentum nitricum is in the cancer miasm. Next slide, madam. So patients needing urgentum have a quick procession, perception, and reaction for the new, and are the best performers. When we often use the term silver tongued for people who have the ability or exhibit the power of fluent and persuasive speech, eloquent, someone also having the skill to express readily, clearly, effectively, able to dazzle with his facile tongue. Silver speeched people, they are called. So silver basically is a person. Next slide. Silver basically is a person who will have a very good speech. They need to explore the new, be creative, perform, and be appreciated. The need to process the information and come to conclusion, to analyze, to improvise, to research, to invent, to devise, to strategize, to plan, and to solve the problem. Urgentum develops the capacity to perform and then needs to maintain that capacity. Okay, next slide. So these are the words of creativity and performance. You can just take a screenshot, viewers. We'll move ahead. All these are the concepts which are given by Dr. Rajan Sankaran. Okay, madam, next slide. Okay, now silver comes in the 11th column of the periodic table. It's a coinage element. Okay, there is a necessity of maintaining his or her successful position, holding on to it, and defending it against any attacks. So just understand, in our case also, the patient has already achieved a successful position. Now it is important that he should hold on to it and he should defend it when he is being attacked by the English language. They put in a constant effort to maintain that position with a very high degree of performance, fear that at any time they could lose their successful position, so they are in a constant stage of high stress and tension. Next slide. Again, these are words of the 11th column given by Sankaran. Okay, you can take a screenshot. Okay, madam, next slide. Okay, so there is a feeling that am I good enough? I will be appreciated only if I perform. On this background, actually, there was one more case. Okay, it was a case of chronic cough. Again, which was solved with urgentum nitricum. Now, this person was a rickshaw driver. This is case number 2 of urgentum nitricum. The first case was of a student who started failing in his exams because of the change of language. The next case, again of urgentum nitricum, is of a rickshaw driver who during the slack season meaning where there are less customers, was in tension, was in financial tension, and he started suffering with cough. The main concern was that if I don't earn, if I don't perform, I will not get the value in my family. So it was a very strange kind of a case. I had failed using a few remedies like Briania, but then I came upon to understand that this particular person had the feeling that he's not good enough. Why he is not good enough? Because he's not able to earn as much as is the requirement of the family. Why he is not able to earn? Because the number of tourists visiting that place during that particular time were less. So there is so as a result, then the key word which you can understand over here is performance. Urgentum metallicum sees his survival in performance and defense. We'll contrast it with the nitricum in the forthcoming slides. Okay, madam, next slide. Okay, so then if you compare this urgentum factor in Herring's guiding symptoms, you come across he's inclined to talk a lot and argue with great facility, debates until there is loss of mental power and an inability to think. A good orator is said to be silver tongue. So another thing, if you go to the physical symptoms of Herring, you will see that the tongue has a silver coating. So if you understand this, the body and the mind both are synchronized. Next, urgentum is known to be useful in professional singers. Singing is an intellectual exercise as well as an involving expression, performance, and show. Okay, next slide. Now we go with nitricum. Okay, so urgentum nitricum, when it comes to the main theme of urgentum is performance, and nitrate is of sudden danger. The two come together in urgentum nitricum, whose main theme is performance in sudden danger or crisis. So you see, our first patient who is a student who started failing in his exams because of the change of language. You will understand that he met a crisis. The crisis was change of language. As a result, his performance was shattered. There is a feeling as if the person will be accepted only if he can perform at the time of crisis. There is a feeling of being neglected and despised if he does not perform at the time of crisis. So this student, basically, he wanted to quit his studies. I will lead you to RadarOpus for the rubrics of the mind section shortly. But let me just add it over here. He wanted to jump out of the window. Okay, not literally he wanted to jump out, but what you have to understand over here is the child basically wanted to quit his studies. What do you mean by jumping out of the window? Why in the repertory it is written that urgentum nitricum wants to jump out of the window, not out of the door? Why not door and why a window? See, if you go out of the door, you can come back through the door, right? But if you jump out of the window, it's a wrong inlet and a wrong exit to the room. If you jump out of the window, you will fall down through many floors and go to the ground and you will die. Okay. Also, when you go out of the window, you will never be able to come back. Okay. You fell down off the building, right? You will not be able to come into the building from that same window. So that is the reason why the word window is used in that particular rubric in RadarOpus. Because window means what? Window means a wrong exit. So now why does urgentum nitricum want to quit? Okay, why our student patient wanted to quit his studies? Because he was feeling claustrophobic. He was put into a course which he did not want to get back into. He just wanted to leave it forever. He did not want to leave the course. He wanted to leave education as a whole. Okay, so now after giving him the medicine, he is able to accept the failure and is ready to work on his weaknesses. That was the follow-up basically. After giving him urgentum nitricum 1m, our patient basically changed in the body as well as on the mind plane. The mind body soul axis changed, and our patient wanted to study. He started studying and he was okay he was okay to fail. So you basically turn the patient to accept failure. Okay, urgentum nitricum can be turned to accept failure when given in 1m potency. Okay, next slide, madam. I hope everybody is able to follow. In case if you are not able to follow, you can just keep asking into the chats, because what I am telling is little related to the mind section of the repertory. I will be glad to answer your questions even now if you place it. Okay, so now the urgentum nitricum is called as crisis manager. They are troubleshooters of the highest degree, and they see their role as that, feeling very much neglected or isolated and feeling like a failure if they can't perform in a crisis. It is important for them to keep control in a critical situation and find their way out of the problem. So they will not quit just in the beginning. They will try to find a problem, the solution to the problem. This is shown in the rubric fear of losing self-control, and which I consider one of the leading rubrics of this remedy. In whichever situation self-control is needed, he becomes highly nervous as he lacks it, as during the time of performance and during crisis. Okay, next slide. Fear of losing self-control. Okay, now fear of losing self-control can be covered with the following rubrics. There is fear of high places. There is fear of narrow places. See, fear of narrow places is also claustrophobia. So urgentum nitricum is also seen in claustrophobia rubric. Urgentum nitricum is also seen in fear of narrow places rubric. Okay, next, fear when anticipating an engagement. Hurry time to arrive at appointed. So this is again a rubric from RadarOpus. So there under the mind section, under the main rubric hurry, you will find it. So he has a hurry to arrive at a particular place at a particular appointed time. Then there is anticipation, fear of failure, diarrhea from anxiety. If you remember the physical symptoms, urgentum nitricum has diarrhea. And that diarrhea is aggravated by anxiety. That diarrhea is also aggravated by eating sweets. Okay. Then there is fear of falling. Fear of falling again means there is a the anxiety of crisis basically. Now, what is fear of falling over here in case number one? Case number one is is where he fell down. He did not because of failing in the exam. He doesn't want to fall again, so he doesn't want to attempt the exam again. So he wants to basically quit his career at studies and wants to become a rickshaw driver or a waiter in a hotel, something like that. Okay, because he stays in Lonavala, so Lonavala has got many hotels, so that is the most taken up job in Lonavala. Maximum children who don't complete their education, they become waiters at hotels. Okay, madam, next slide. Whichever situation in life reminds urgentum nitricum of a trap aggravates urgentum nitricum person, and they can act impulsively to get out of this trap. This expression they like to use often: there is no way out, or I don't see the way out. So they want to come out of the trap. Because the trap makes him feel claustrophobic. Now this trap can be anything. This trap, please understand the word trap in this rubric. The trap can be a marriage where you are having a mother-in-law who is expecting more than the daughter-in-law can perform. This trap can be your education, where your parents are expecting high results from you and you are not able to perform. This trap can be your office work also. You might find your office like a trap, where the boss is expecting more than what you can perform, and you wanted to perform in the beginning, but you are unable to meet his expectations. Okay. Now, okay, madam, next slide. Okay. So fear, of course, fear is there. I will discuss this, but I want to add something over here. The anxiety of trap, which is there. Here, I will want to add a contrasting facet of urgentum nitricum. Please, if you are using RadarOpus, please open the mind section and type anarchist, ANARCHIST. If you see anarchist, urgentum nitricum, who is a performer, who is claustrophobic also, who is anxious about his performance also, can get anarchist. Why does urgentum nitricum become an anarchist? How is it? See, it is contrasting, right? This fellow who is listening to his parents, or who is listening to his family, who is performing true to their expectations, who is performing so much, how can he become an anarchist? He becomes an anarchist at a situation where this expectation is beyond his capacity to be achieved. If he is not able to complete those expectations, he will actually just disregard his family or disregard his office, and then he will become an anarchist. Anarchist means I will do what I want. In Hindi, please forgive me for the use of these words, but if you have seen the movie China Gate, the words which the villain used, mere man ko bhaya, main kutta kaat ke khaya. It means what? He is an anarchist. I will do what I want. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. Okay. So when will urgentum nitricum become an anarchist? When his IPR, interpersonal relationships, are expecting more than what he can perform, and he is fed up of them. He will go into anarchy. This is the anarchism of urgentum nitricum. Anarchy has got many other medicines. Every medicine has got a certain different facet of anarchy. So we can discuss that sometime later, maybe in the future also. Next, fear in a crowd. Fear of closed spaces, I told you, claustrophobia. Fear in narrow place, claustrophobia again. Fear of bridges, fear of tunnels, fear of high places, fear of flying in aeroplane, fear any place where the exit is blocked. All of these are from RadarOpus. You will get it in the mind section of the repertory. Next, this thing, madam. Next slide. Next slide, madam. Yeah. Another situation is the stage. The patients are anxious to go onto the stage, but when persuaded, they feel isolated and trapped. They feel as if they are alone and the exit is blocked. The compensation is to see the way out all the time and to never enter a situation where the exit is not seen. For example, going on a journey only after booking the return ticket, sitting next to the door in a cinema theater, etc. On the physical plane, urgentum nitricum creates a feeling of intense oppression and claustrophobia. So over here, this reminds me of my third case. So there is a case of a lady who is married at a very far distance. She's from South India, but she's married she's married to a UP person, and she had to shift from South India to Uttar Pradesh, and they later on shifted and started staying in Delhi. Now this patient had contacted me through teleconference, like through online mode, and had given me the case online, and I had sent her doses of argentum nitricum with which she was able to come over her anxiety as well as other physical ailments. So basically, initially when she gave me the case goes thus. I'll go stepwise with the case. This lady basically was unable to carry on all the activities of the kitchen and of the house in the manner as was expected by the husband. So I thought maybe the husband is dominating, maybe the husband is unreasonable, but the lady herself told me that the husband is not unreasonable. I used to do this formerly at my mother's place, but since the time I have shifted to Delhi and I have left my mother's place, I am kind of unable to perform the daily activities. If there is some hustle, if there is little situation like you have to do something very quickly, I get very nervous, and then I am unable to take things in my hand. My hand starts shivering, my hand starts like my speech starts stuttering. And this was not there formerly, and it is not that my husband is unreasonable. The things expected out of me are really basic, and I want to do them, but I don't know why I am unable to do them. And the time I book my tickets to go back home, to go back to my mother's place, after that period, whatever 15-20 days I am there, I am able to do all the jobs with a great amount of grace and speed. So I basically don't know. Then after this trend was observed by my husband, he feels very angry that whenever I am like going to go to my mother's place, those ending 15 days or 20 days, I am doing the things at home very nicely. But the time I come back from there, again my problem starts. So this particular thing is because she wants the exit to be open. She feels that marriage to be claustrophobic. She feels it like a trap, and she wants that the exit should be open. And what is the exit? The ticket to going back home. Okay. So literally speaking, these are metaphors, but this metaphor can be used in multiple places, as I told you. As I told you, the trap can be your office, the trap can be your marriage, the trap can be a physical trap like a cinema hall, a theater, anything. Okay. It is that you have to understand these words metaphorically. If you understand the words metaphorically, you will be able to apply it in multiple cases in multiple ways. Okay, madam, next slide. Okay, set of rubrics for discussion. Elements from anticipation, delusion, corners of houses, project so that he fears he will run against them while walking in the street. Delusion, deserted, forsaken. Delusion, despised he is. Delusion, place he cannot pass. Certain excitement, anticipating events when. Okay. So now I think I have already covered these in my explanation. Any person who is wanting to ask any doubts upon what I have taken up till now, madam. The next slide then. Next slide. Okay, we have already read these: fear, crossing of a bridge or place of anticipation, stage fright, fear, diarrhea from fear of failure, fear of falling, fear of being late, fear in narrow places, fear of ordeals, fear of losing self control, fear of undertaking anything. So, see now, fear of undertaking anything. This was applicable to case number 3, where the lady basically was unable to do the household chores properly. Hmm. Okay. Next slide, madam. High places aggravate, hurry time, hurry to arrive for appointed, hurry walking while, time passes too slowly, appears longer, undertakes nothing, lest he fail, anxiety, time is set if a, suspense aggravates. So now these every rubric has to be understood to the crux. If you understand these rubrics, so like anxiety time is set if a time is set. So if you set a time at 10 o'clock for our lecture to begin, and then a person starts feeling anxious as to when can like if the speaker feels anxious, usually this problem will be with the speaker. Hmm. So if the speaker feels anxious when the time is set at 10 o'clock, and then he creates a mess at joining the webinar, and he joins it late, so that anxiety will demand for urgentum nitricum. Okay, like we faced today, we faced a problem. Had we to be anxious, we would make further mess. Hmm. So we had a participant, some participant who said wasting our time. Madam was a little disturbed with that comment. If you understand this wasting our time comment, what will you? How do you analyze it? I'm just showing you how to practically analyze what is going on in the mind of a person from the words of what he uses. Okay. If you now when a comment is there, wasting our time, what do you mean? You mean to say that my time is very precious and you are wasting it. You are wasting it, and so I am showing you displeasure. So this person might be arsenic. Arsenic bites the tumbler. Okay. You see, RadarOpus mind section, biting, tumbler is okay. You will find only two medicines: arsenic and cuprum met. Hmm. Cuprum met is a dominating person. He will not even waste the time to wait in for the webinar to begin. He will just shut it. Arsenic will want the profit, and he will bite you also for it. Hmm. So that is what is okay. So the person might be needing arsenic, maybe. Okay, madam, next slide. Madam, next slide. Yeah, Clark's dictionary. Now I have collected materia medica sources from many places. Now all this is actually copy pasted from the textbooks only. Okay, so you directly typed out from the textbook. Only the mind sections. Now why only the mind sections? Because I clear most of the cases from the mind section. You might be a little skeptical about the mind section, but please trust it. Those cases which are not, those medicines which are not having certain problems enlisted in the physicals, even those can be solved with mm, even those problems can be solved with a certain remedy, okay, which is not having that disease mentioned under its materia medica. Like if you try and open and see renal calculi in natrum mur is not there. Hmm. If you check the materia medica, but when the mind matches and you give natrum mur, the kidney stone is ejected. And I have done it. So you will realize that if the body matches but the mind doesn't, in that case you are in a difficult situation. The medicine might not work. But if the mind matches onto the physical plane, whether the disease be mentioned in the materia medica or not, it will definitely work. However, there are specific places where only single remedy rubrics, or the rubrics which are having remedies between the count of 1 to 10 on the physical plane, are very useful. Like yesterday for Dr. I attended a session by Dr. Alok Patel, and he has cleared a case of herpes zoster with posticum using a single physical rubric from SR Phatak. Again, RadarOpus, SR Phatak Repertory, you have it available. It is available. He has used it. Yeah, he has used it. It's an alphabetical repertory. Basically, entry points can be from anywhere. You have to be open for the mind technique also, and you have to be open for the physical technique also. Taking physical rubrics which are having large number of medicines under them lead to more confusion. Okay, so in Clark's dictionary also, you have got more of the same thing mentioned. Okay, there is frequent errors of perception, mistakes, distances, fear of house corners, melancholic, does not undertake anything lest he should not succeed, hurries restlessly to fulfill engagements, fears to be late when there is plenty of time, mental anxiety, very impulsive, always in a hurry, but accomplishes nothing in continual motion. He walks fast. So you will see such patients who are like the people who walk very fast. Okay, but it's not the fast walking alone that should lead you to urgentum nitricum. The picture has to match. So picture is the story of the patient. So you have to slowly find out the story of the patient. Hmm. There are a few remedies which take time to open up. There are a few remedies which open up very fast in the OPD. It depends upon that also. It depends upon your case taking skills also. Like if you have a Natram case will not open very fast. And if you are not sensitive to talk to the Natram female, she will not come back to the OPD. But if you see an arsenic person, the arsenic person will be very fast in opening up at many times, especially when this particular patient of arsenic doesn't have like he doesn't have a personal equation with you. If you don't know him personally, he will open up very nicely. But if you know him personally and there is a social equation between you and the patient, then he will want to put up a good show. Urgentum nitricum also will want to put up a good show, but urgentum will feel the anxiety while putting up the show. Arsenic will be, he is very materialistic, so arsenic will immediately will keep up the good show in front and will keep the dirty picture behind. Like if you see an arsenic person's room, you will find that the room is very spick and span, and the time you open the cupboard, the things will be in a mess. However, if you see an urgentum nitricum patient, he will be continuously shaky and working all through the home in a shaky manner to get things in order when you arrive at his place. Okay, so you understand this. You will be able to actually differentiate between urgentum nitricum and arsenic. I chose arsenic for comparison because arsenic and urgentum nitricum both are from the mineral kingdom. You also have to understand this particular thing. Plants are sensitive. Then your metals are rigid. They want to keep up a certain show. They want to keep up a certain structure in front of you. Animals can be frightful. They can be revengeful. The birds have a certain feeling of caged feeling. Mammals have got the me versus the group conflict. Okay, conflict meaning what? They will never be able to talk against the group. Arsenic will talk against the group. Urgentum nitricum, when pushed to the wall, when he is really pushed to the wall by the family or by the office people, then he will become anarchist. So he can also talk against the people. But if you see the plants will never be able to do that. The plants are very sensitive. They will keep the anger within. And when the anger starts coming out, it will be very destructive, like in Nux vomica. Okay, so Nux vomica and arsenic, they are very close. Doctors confuse it in the beginning days also and in later stages also. Thank you, madam, for changing the slide. Time passes. Time seems to pass very slowly. Apprehension when ready to go to church or opera, bringing on diarrhea. Easily angered or excited. Anger brings on symptoms, cough, pain, etc. Profound melancholy. Imagines if he left alone. If left alone, will die. Apprehends incurable diseases of the brain. Nightly nervousness with heat and fullness in the head, nervous, faintish, and tremulous sensation. Awful faces appear on shutting eyes. Apathy. Uh, Next slide. So there is one query. Can you please tell me its medicine relation with? ओके, अर्जेंटम नाइट्रिकम एंड आर्सेनिक का इंटर रिलेशनशिप इन्होंने पूछा है. ओके मैडम, आई एम नॉट अवेयर. I am not aware about the relationship of the medicine of arsenic with argentum. I am not aware. Mental operations sluggish, thought requires effort, complete loss of consciousness, memory impaired, cannot find the right word, building castles in the air by day, monstrous visions by night. Okay, but however, about the query, madam, I will tell you, I am not asking you to use arsenic or argentum one after the other. It is only about the differentiation. I basically like to differentiate two remedies and discuss. Along with argentum, aconite can also be differentiated. Both have anxiety, but we'll do that later. Okay, madam, next slide. SR Fatak. Okay, Fatak Materia Medica, my favorite Materia Medica. Tormented by strange ideas and emotions, nervous, impulsive, and hurried, yet timid and anxious, fearsome, dreads ordeals, fear of impending evil, of crowds, passing a certain point, of high building, of dark, hesitates. Falters in speech, in gait, erection, etc. So basically, you can also think of argentum nitricum for erectile dysfunction. Okay. Erectile dysfunction meaning the husband is apprehensive to start romancing the wife because he might falter in the erection. There is loss of ambition. Believes that he is despised by his family, that all his undertakings will fail, despondent, melancholy. Next slide. Next. Okay. Impulse to jump when crossing a bridge or from a window, brain fag, loss of memory, time passes slowly, time seems short, wants to do things in a hurry, must walk fast, etc. Weeps, says he is lost beyond hope, everything seems changed, irrational, does strange things and comes to strange conclusions, does foolish things, incoherence, childish talk, talks about his sufferings, remains in bed with triple indisposition. Okay, madam, next. Ma'am, how much time do we have? Okay. Do we have enough time to finish the PowerPoint, or are we short of it? Okay. Okay, ma'am, we'll continue. Next slide. Okay, Nash. Impulsive, time goes too slow, must walk fast, apprehension on getting ready for church, opera, etc. He has an attack of diarrhea. Okay, next. Nash, Nash always speaks less. Guernsey. We think of this remedy on seeing a withered and dried up person made so by disease. He looks like a little withered old man. It is one of the best remedies for hypochondriasis. Now, please understand, hypochondriasis is a situation which we very often miss. When the patient comes in front of us, very often we miss the hypochondriasis. Sometimes the hypochondriasis may be accompanied by hyperactivity. Like I had a patient just come to me yesterday, whom I have given urgentum nitricum. This patient basically is apprehensive, anxious, but in a lot of hypochondria. So hypochondria means what? Where there is no disease, but he feels there is something wrong with him. There is something wrong. So now the urgentum nitricum has the hypochondriasis. The most, the highest grade of hypochondriasis is found in valeriana. Okay, Valeriana officinalis is the most hypochondriacal remedy, but you can think of urgentum nitricum somewhere on the way. So basically, these people will appear like lycopodium. They have hyperactivity. They will have cowardice also with them, and they will have hypochondriasis along with it. So then it goes to urgentum nitricum. The sight of high houses makes him dizzy and causes him to stagger. It seemed as if the houses on both sides of the street would approach and crush him. Because he's claustrophobic. See, he's claustrophobic, so that particular street will also feel claustrophobic to him. He will feel that those particular buildings will collapse on him. When walking in a street, he dreads to pass a street corner because the corner of the house seems to project and he is afraid he will run against it. Impulsive, must walk very fast, always hurried, apprehension when ready to go to church or opera, brings on a diarrhea. So you will have these people going to the toilet before going to, like going out of the house. घर से निकलने के पहले संडास जाएंगे. These people will want to go to the toilet before they leave for office or before they leave for the market. Okay. Next slide, madam. Pulford. Urgentum nitricum is tremulous, weak, nervous, restless. Size means makes facial grimaces. Okay. Has palpitation, craves sugar, which makes one sick and acts like a psychic and brings on diarrhea, is anxious, imperative, hurried, fidgety, fears both death and failure, is anxious for the time to come when he has to meet an engagement, is especially nervous around 11 a.m., has vertigo on looking at tall buildings, sleep is prevented by nervousness, there is aggravation from mental excitement, going to the opera, warm room, heat of the fire or bed in the summer and in women during the menses. Now please understand this warm room and heat of fire or bed. Please understand this. There is a little understanding which you have to understand. First, please go. You can open up RadarOpus mind section. Falling. Falling. That is the word you will type. Falling. He is bed out of. Okay. Firstly, understand. What is the bed? What is bed for a person? Bed for a person is the place which gives him comfort. Bed gives you comfort. So if you're falling out of your bed, meaning what? You're losing your comfort. Okay. So now, please understand, again you have to connect it with IPR. IPR is interpersonal relationship of urgentum nitricum. Yeah. So I was explaining bed. See, what is bed? Bed is a place which gives you comfort. So for urgentum nitricum, family basically is going to give him comfort. Family is also going to expect things from him. He will try and perform very hard to complete their expectations. And when he starts failing in completing those expectations, he will have this particular phase. He will feel that he's falling out of his bed. He's falling out. When he's falling out of his bed, it will cause a problem. He will lose his comfort. Another thing, we just now read that there is aggravation from the heat of the bed. What do you mean by that? See, bed is the family, okay, over here for urgentum nitricum. When they get heated up, meaning what? Their expectations are increasing. When their expectations are increasing, this fellow now will think that I am working so hard to complete all the ends, to make all the ends meet, and still when you are not satisfied, go to hell. I will become an anarchist. Okay, you understand that? That there is he's a performer, he is a crisis manager. He will try to manage things. There is a lot of expectation from from his IPR. The IPR is expecting a lot from argentum nitricum. He will try to meet those, and when he is unable to meet it, then he will feel as if he is falling out of his bed. Hmm. And then the bed will get heated up. And when the bed gets heated up, forget falling, he will get up from the bed and stand as an anarchist. Are you able to understand this? Okay, Shalini madam has given a long message. There is a patient of mine. He is having severe anxiety after facing challenges in his office. Anxiety went to the limit that one day he just disappeared from his home without telling anybody, and almost 8 hours his family members searched him madly in the whole city. And somehow they found now the patient is not able to continue his office work and daily routine chores. Argentum nitricum can help in this case. Yes madam, it can help in this case. Basically now you have to understand what is the stage of argentum nitricum into which he is stuck, which will then decide the potency. But you can safely start with argentum nitricum 200, and then you can hike it up to 1 m. You should get results. If you basically also compare that movie, Karthik Calling Karthik. I don't know if somebody has seen it, Karthik Calling Karthik. In that movie where the patient is having schizophrenia, I think. He's having split mind or some double personality. So in that kind of case also, where he was initially coward, he was not able to face things. And then to face it, a different face of his comes to the forefront. There was a lot of expectation from the family. Sorry, not from the family, from the office. And then he changes his phase. Okay. But I have not included anything of that, of those movies. There are also songs, okay, where you can see argentum nitricum. But never mind, we are short of time, so we'll move ahead. Okay, drowsiness of stupor with dilated pupils, convulsions and epilepsy, restless during the interval, restless and trembles before the attack, pupils dilated after the attack, restlessness, hands tremble. Now please understand, whenever you are studying a remedy from the mind section, please include epilepsy into it. Epilepsy should be included because sometimes epilepsy, sometimes mind, and sometimes gestures. Also, please include gesture rubrics because these gestures help you in quick prescription. Okay, madam, next slide. Okay. Cyrus Maxwell Boger. Cyrus Maxwell Boger used to be one of the repertories. Okay, BBCR used to be one of the repertories which it was my favorite. I used to practice in the body method formerly. Later on, I detached from it because I thought that there is not much of the mind section into it. And today I am back to CM Boger because the mind things which he has written are the sure shot things which you find in the patient. Boger took a very long time to write his book. I'll show you the book. Just a minute. Synoptic key. Okay, he took a very long time to write the synoptic key. Almost 33 years. Okay, to write it. And the things of the mind which are mentioned in the synoptic key are really pearls of prescription. Old, dried up, tremulous and weak, progressive emaciation, conjoined mental and digestive symptoms, strange ideas or emotions, nervous, impulsive and hurried, yet timid and anxious, dreads, ordeals, impending evil, passing a certain point, dark, etc., faltering speech, gait, erection, etc. Okay, next slide. JT Kent. Okay, Kent. Everybody knows Kent is the the place where the mind is used maximum. We shall find by examining the symptoms of this remedy that the intellectual feature predominates as in the metal, and that is urgentum metallicum. That the affections are disturbed only in limited way. There is a predominance of the mental symptoms. First of all, disturbance in the memory, disturbance of reason. He becomes most irrational in his explanations of his actions and methods. He is irrational and does strange things and comes to strange conclusions, does foolish things. He has all sorts of imaginations, illusions, and hallucinations. Next slide. He is tormented in his mind by the inflowing of troublesome thoughts, and especially at night, his thoughts torment him to the extent that he is extremely anxious, and this puts him in a hurry and in a fidget. And he goes out and walks, and the faster he walks, the faster he thinks he must walk, and he walks till fatigued. Strange notions and ideas and fears come into his mind. He has an impulse that he is going to have a fit or that he is going to have a sickness. Next. A strange thought comes into his mind that if he goes past a certain corner of the street, he will create a sensation, will fall down and have a fit, and to avoid that, he will go around the block. He avoids going past that corner for fear he will do something strange. He is so reduced in his mental state that he admits into the mind all sorts of impulses. There is inflowing of strange thoughts into his mind, and when crossing a bridge or high place, the thought that he might kill himself or perhaps he might jump off, or what if he should jump off, and sometimes the actual impulse comes to jump off the bridge into the water. Okay, next. We have already discussed this. When looking out of a window, the thought comes to his mind, what an awful thing it would be to jump out of the window, and sometimes the impulse comes to actually jump out of the window. There is fear of death, the over anxious state that death is near, and often at times, like Aconite, he predicts that moment he is going to die, looking forward to times he is anxious. When looking forward to something that he is about to do, or that he has promised to do, or in the expectation of things, he is anxious. When about to meet an engagement, he is anxious until the time comes. Okay, next. If he is about to take a railroad journey, he is anxious, full of fear and anxiety, tremulous nervousness until he is on the car going, and then it passes away. If he is about to meet a certain person on the street, okay, just wait a minute. Okay, okay, if he is about to meet a certain person on the street corner, he is anxious and breaks out, often in a sweat from anxiety, until it is over with. Not only is this particular symptom present, but the symptoms come on as a result of his anxiety. He is excitable, angers easily, and as a result of this, pain comes. When he becomes angry, he becomes vehement, and pain in the head comes on. Cough, pain in the chest, and weakness follow this anger. The anxiety he has from these circumstances will bring on complaints. When he is going anywhere, going to a wedding or to the opera or any unusual event, it is attended with anxiety, fear, and diarrhea. So it is we have in this a wonderful medicine. It says in the text that he gave all sorts of cure reasons for his strange conduct, endeavoring to cover up, as it were, his foolishness, which he himself realizes: sadness, melancholy, and confusion, defective memory. Now, please understand over here, Kent uses the word the text. What is the text for us or for Kent? It is the guiding symptoms. Okay, the guiding symptoms, if you are aware. Okay, the guiding symptoms of Materia Medica. Okay, there are 10 volumes of it. Again, BGN Publishers. So you have it. Okay. And last, we'll have the radar notes. So it is extrovert, over emotional, cannot hide his feelings, sympathetic, desire company to express feelings, vivid imaginations, impulses, mental weakness, anxiety about health, fear being alone, fears heights, crossing bridge, claustrophobia, fainting, disease, hospital and death, anticipation, hurry, feels he lacks time, anxiety neurosis with irrational behavior, compulsive neurosis, suggestible, superstitious, fixed ideas, weak memory, and brain fag. Okay, so with that we finish. We finish today's lecture. Radar keynotes. Radar keynotes. Extrovert, over emotional, cannot hide his feelings. Sympathetic, desire company to express feelings. Vivid imaginations, impulses, mental weaknesses, anxiety about health, fear being alone, fears heights, crossing bridges, claustrophobia, fainting, disease, hospital and death. Anxiety, anticipation, hurry, feels he lacks time, anxiety neurosis with irrational behavior, compulsive neurosis, suggestible, superstitious, fixed ideas, weak memory, and brain fag. So now I think this is sufficient for the two contrasting pictures of urgentum nitricum. Urgentum nitricum, up till now, as much as I have studied and read, there is one anxious phase where he wants to perform. There is one phase where he's feeling it. There is one phase where his bed is getting too warm, and there is one phase where he leaves the bed and he becomes anarchist. Okay, so these are the different phases. These are the phases of urgentum nitricum. Yes, Dr. Jyoti Dave, Guiding Symptoms book. Guiding Symptoms book is published by BGN Publishers only. You have 10 volumes of it. It is available on their website also, or you can directly call up their book section and order it. It is really helpful. Kent refers to Guiding Symptoms as the text. Okay. So, and the Guiding Symptoms is written by Dr. Constantine Herring. As you know, Dr. Constantine Herring was actually an MD doctor. He was an allopathic doctor, and he has basically, like, he wanted to write a treatise against homeopathy. He was tipped by the health insurance policy lobby, and also the medical lobby of his time, to write against homeopathy. He kept on writing against homeopathy for 10 years, and after 10 years of research into homeopathy, he said that it will be a crime if I write against such a noble pathy. And so he himself got converted to homeopathy, and 3 volumes of Guiding Symptoms, the first 3 volumes of Guiding Symptoms were written during the lifetime of Dr. Constantine Herring, after which the rest 7 have been written down by his students. Dr. Constantine Herring was one of the major provers also. He was not able to wear a belt and a tie after the proving of Lacaze's medicine. So that is one of the symptoms which you can remember forever. You cannot forget Lacaze's. If a person has a problem in that, you will have to give Lacaze's only. However, now there is another new medicine, boa constrictor, also has come up. You can find it in RadarOpus. So that is enough for today.